Hello everyone, this is part 29 of What If Naruto Passed the Genin test, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. It was a quiet night. There wasn't a sound to be heard in the forest running southwest along the Fire County's border, even as the squad of 7 ninja clad in black and dark gray camouflage raced through the pitch-black undergrowth. Their feet fell silently, and the bushes seemed to part without a sound as they passed by like wraiths in the gloom. They ran in a loose triangular formation, one leader taking point with 3 other nin on either his right or left with about 10 meters between any of them. ANBU's usually bone-white masks had been replaced by veils, as dark as any cloth could be, wrapped around the nins' faces and covered by a hood woven to blend into bushes by looking like tree bark. Instead of silver forehead protectors, they wore black patches embossed with a leaf on their right shoulders. Metal braces, black with firing, coiled around their forearms, and swords of a like composition were grasped firmly, unsheathed and point upturned in their hands. The 7 wore no cloaks, as the flapping in the wind of a cape might compromise their stealth. Even the breeze passing over the skin-tight fabric they did wear made Shikamaru, the point of the spear, uneasy. 6 of the finest, Nara Shikamaru thought to himself, handpicked from the slyest assassins in Konoha's arsenal. Each one more than able to run for days without tiring and to cross the continent in less than a fortnight without detection, together with me the slyest fighting force in the nation, aside likely from Neji and his kin. Yet for all this he found his pulse racing, and not from the fatigue of a night's journey. For all this I still fear we may be outmatched. If we're discovered and forced to face Sasuke or Orochimaru, rather than run, it will be the end for us. Shikamaru didn't have time to finish contemplating the weight of his mission. The squad had reached the southernmost point of their journey, a passing road that ran between a line of cliffs and the edge of the massive forest that made up most of the center of the continent. With a quick jerk of his hand, Shikamaru pointed towards the east, and one of the Anbu instantly disappeared down the road. That should give us some warning, thought the head of ANBU's Special Tactics and Forces Unit. Set the charges and the mines, he then hissed. 10-meter spread between the mines with those farthest west on the road rigged to go off given a 5-meter proximity, chain the triggers of rest of the mines to the initial mines with a quarter-second delay. Without nodding or acknowledging the orders in any way, the remaining Anbu each silently pulled 24 small scrolls from their uniforms. Unfurling them revealed a single message written on every one: summon, explode. The ninja rolled the scrolls out along 2 or 3 feet of earth, with 10 meters between each scroll, then began covering the scrolls with dirt. Those Kirinin are going to be in for one nasty little surprise when they pass this way, thought Shikamaru. The head of the group will activate the traps farthest forward, by which time the rest of the victims should already be within the blast radii. The scrolls will activate, summon 25 shuriken each, and then explode, propelling the shuriken through the air at lethal speeds. The whole process should take less than a third of a second. Tsunade's plan to preemptively set mines and other deterrents along the routes the Kiri ninja were sure to follow on their way to Suna, routes that all passed near Fire's borders, seemed genius enough. After all, the Hokage knew that Kiri's forces were taking a course in the southern Fire country to get to their destination in the wind, and while war had not yet been declared officially, so setting mines directly ahead of another nation's forces was a violation of international law. There was no way to trace the traps back to Konoha. That is, unless Shikamaru and his team were caught. Even if we are captured, and the start of the conflict is blamed on Tsunade, Shikamaru thought, I doubt she really cares how history remembers her. I'll give it 2 days before S really starts to hit the floor. No, 3 days. And by then it will be too late for Tsunade to be remembered as anything other than a good leader. No one will have any proof this was by her order. Sir, one of the Anbu whispered, his voice barely audible in the calm night, the traps are set and ready. Good, thought the leader, nodding his approval. Before anything else could happen, another Anbu appeared at Shikamaru's side. Sir, the new arrival uttered. Kirinin coming up the road, 96 of them moving at a fair pace. They'll be here in 2.5 minutes. How densely packed are they? Asked Shikamaru, his voice perfectly level. The other officer grinned under his veil. Plenty. With any luck this little trap will wipe them all out. Fools. Shikamaru nodded again. Good. Move out in the Delta formation, west by northwest. 7 locations down, but we've still got 6 more to hit before sunrise. Then we move to intercept and join up with Jiraiya's unit. In a flash Shikamaru and his team disappeared into the dark. Again they were racing though the forest at breaking but still silent speeds. Every ear was tuned precisely, listening in the distance for the unmistakable sounds of explosive scrolls going off. Anyone not killed in the blast directly, Shikamaru mused, will be sped to shreds by the shuriken. I'll put the body count at 80 of the 96, by conservative estimations. If we get lucky they'll all be killed. 2 minutes went by, then another 20 seconds. The air was still silent. Another 10 seconds, then 10 more. Shikamaru was beginning to worry that they'd set the traps wrong, or that the enemy had changed direction. The worst possibility of course would be if the Genin discovered the mines and noted it on a map, since then they'd be suspicious of every course they chose. Just as their leader's fear began to reflect in all of the other Anbu, the air filled with the sounds of distant explosions and blood-curdling screams. The 7 ninja all breathed an inward sigh of relief as the explosions echoed away, and the screams faded to the nearly inaudible buzz of the S. From the sounds of things, no one had escaped the mines without mortal injuries. 96 down, thought Shikamaru. Only hell knows how many left to go, at least luck was on our side. SC. Do we know how long we have until Suna comes under direct assault? Sunad asked tersely, not taking her eyes off the map in front of her or beginning to move away from the mahogany desk in her darkened office. It was a question she'd asked a half-dozen times by now. Not exactly Hokage-sama, said Kakashi as he reread the scroll a sand courier Nin had brought to Sunad the night before. But according to this, Gaara's spies believe that Kiri has been slipping forces into the wind, through our territory, for over a month and dispersing them with orders to converge on Suna sometime within the next 4 days. Damn, said Sunad, but that at least gives us some time to actually get a relief force to Suna before the other 3 armies arrive. If all goes well Kiri, Kumo, and Oto will all strike at the same time, hoping to overwhelm Suna's defenses, and we'll arrive from north of the village in time to catch them from behind as Suna presses from the village's front. As for Kiri sending their troops through Fire's territory, it's a shame we hadn't discovered that weeks ago. At least Shikamaru's unit has been harassing the stragglers since yesterday's early hours, thought the Hokage. That boy's become invaluable these past several months. Nothing ever goes that well, said Kakashi. Kiri is going to come at Suna from the southeast, and odds are that Kumo and Oto will strike from the north and northeast. If that happens the best we can hope for is that our forces wipe out one of the armies and together with Suna drive the other 2 off, which wouldn't leave us uninjured. If we can manage that much it will only be the first battle of what's likely to be a very bloody campaign. Or a series of campaigns, said the Hokage. There are 3 villages whose surrender we'll have to force. If we win at Suna then we'll have to strike at 3 villages in 3 simultaneous assaults with 3 surprise attacks. Otherwise this war will just drag on and we'd have to try to win by attrition. Even if all goes well in this first battle, we won't be able to count on Gaara's help for some time. This first fight is going to be hell on earth and the sand is likely to take massive damage and casualties. Kakashi said quietly. I know. That means that our attacks on Oto, Kiri, and Kumo will have to be all the faster and harder. We'll be trying to do with 1 village's army what we should be attempting with 3 separate forces. Kakashi grimaced. If we can't conquer the others in a blitz we'll have to hold out and do as much damage as we can until Suna can recover enough to help us. If we can last that long our combined forces should have the muscle to overwhelm the villages one at a time. So many ifs, thought the Genin. At any rate, said the Hokage, everything is in motion now and we can't stop it. Diplomacy has failed, though it was worth a shot, and we've been forced to rely on less civil options. Sunad rolled her N, then stood up straight and faced Kakashi directly, ignoring the map on her desk. All the preparations have been made, she said. I've arranged for my authority to be temporarily transferred to you in accordance with your position as steward until I return. If something should happen to me, Jiraiya is to be the next in line to be Hokage, whether or not he likes it, and if he doesn't survive this, well then you know what to do. Right, Kakashi nodded, his voice full of doubt as the Hokage rolled up the map and tucked it away in a nearby bookshelf. Sunad reached to a coat rack and pulled off pitch-black cloak. In one quick motion she threw it over her armor-clad shoulders and fastened the strings into a loose knot. The dark metal plates comprising the thick, exoskeleton-like suit glided on flawless joints that in no way restricted the Hokage's movements. It was more like a second skin than a bulky armor, and it didn't so much as clank or creak as Sunad crossed her carpeted office in a few long strides, heading towards the door. Kakashi followed her without question as she walked out into the hall that ran through the Hokage's main complex of offices. The two ninja were both absorbed in thought, not paying any attention to the other. Kakashi followed her mainly out of a sense of protocol, since he knew there was nothing more he needed to be briefed on. Even so, thought the copy nin, this just doesn't feel right. Then again, I guess war never does. Uncertainty and doubt have a way of clouding the moment. Sunad threw open the doors at the end of the elaborate hall and strode out into the early morning twilight of Konoha. She walked tall and strong, and there was a feel of pride about her, despite the darkening situation. Her armored boots, while heavy, were also thickly padded and made no more noise on the stone sidewalk than a pair of running shoes, only adding to the sense of foreboding that seemed to hang in the air like a dense fog. Hokage-sama, said Kakashi. Yes, what is it? Asked Sunad, her voice somewhat distant. She didn't slow her pace or turn to look at her follower. Are you sure Naruto is old enough to handle this kind of situation? He's barely 16, barely more than a child. Jiraiya has complete faith in him, which you know is a feat in and of itself, said Sunad. That's reason enough for me to trust him. And you have to admit that even 3 years ago he was a formidable fighter and cunning to boot. Yes, but does he have what it takes to take over? Kakashi's voice wavered. I was his teacher for some time, but I'm not sure he could have matured enough to properly deal with what would be asked of him, even with my guidance. We'll only have to worry about that if both Jiraiya and IS out there, said Sunad, her voice reserved again, and I don't think that will happen. I know, Kakashi muttered. You need to stop worrying, just focus on what you know needs to be done, said Sunad, changing the subject and turning to the Genin. Her voice was suddenly intense, but not uncaring. The army has already moved out and as soon as the first assault on Suna is made, we will officially be at war. There's nothing that can be done to stop it now, so just keep your mind on defending Konoha. We have 1,200 ninja moving towards Suna in groups of between 30 and 50 ninja, with orders to engage any enemy nin they encounter along the way, continued the Hokage. That's going to leave you with 600 to defend the village. I'm not sure about that either, said Kakashi. I'd feel better if you left Jiraiya here to head the garrison, rather than. I'm confident in your abilities, said Sunad quickly. The fourth trusted you with his life during the war with Earth, so I'll trust you with Konoha's safety while I'm gone. You'll have Naruto at your disposal at least. Kakashi hesitated. Speaking of the war with Earth, he said, the thought occurred to me that if Kiri was going through fire to get to the wind, Oto and Kuma would have to have gone through, or at least very near Earth's territory to get towards Suna without our network of patrols picking up on their activities. Can we be sure of Iwa's neutrality? By now the two ninja were walking quickly through the empty streets, passing by closed-up shops and homes with darkened windows. Everyone in the village, it seemed, needed no official statement by the Hokage to know what was coming. Like I said at the tactical meeting a few days ago, said Sunad, we can be almost positive of Iwa's neutrality. The last time they went to war against us it almost cost them everything. The fourth raised so much of their territory that the Earth is still trying to recover fully. They're still not our friends by any means, but they know it would be foolish to attack us. I know that, but I still don't trust them for anything, said Kakashi. I'd rather it be Jiraiya who stayed to defend the village in case anything happens. But if you insist. I do insist, said Sunad. You're the best for the job aside from Jiraiya or me, and frankly I need all the firepower I can get on the front line in case Orochimaru shows his face. Understood Hokage-sama, said Kakashi as the duo reached the open courtyard behind Konoha's west gate. Don't worry then. I'll ensure nothing happens to your village while you're out. The copy nin grinned. The Hokage grimaced as they walked fully into the courtyard. My village, the words tasted bitter in her mouth. Kakashi, that's the last mindset I ever want any Hokage to have. Oto is Orochimaru's village. Konoha is our village. Never forget that. It was only a joke, said Kakashi. Sorry Hokage-sama. There was no fear of Tsunade in his voice, just fatigue. I was trying to lighten the situation. I understand, said Tsunade, pinching the bridge of her nose and squinting as though she were trying to stave off a headache. My unit is about 2 leagues west of here and moving towards Suna via the free road that will lead through the river country. River has agreed to let us pass then. Tsunade nodded. They value their neutrality and as such keep open borders with everyone. And even if they didn't, they wouldn't have the strength to stop us. I'll see you in a couple of days. Kakashi nodded as Tsunade jogged off towards the little-known door hidden in the side of the gate. In a flash she'd opened it, disappeared through, and shut it silently behind her. The silver-haired Genin couldn't help but wonder if he'd ever see her again. He knew it wasn't a good idea to think like that. Pessimism never serves any purpose but to demoralize, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Tsunade was wrong, or that things were far worse than she let on. Why else would she leave 600 behind? He thought, turning around and walking farther into the village. Konoha could hold against almost anything with a garrison half that size. Was she just being precautious, or am I reading too much into things? Maybe it's just paranoia. By now a large portion of the village had been long awake, but people were just beginning to emerge into the streets. The copy nin couldn't miss how sullen and somber everyone looked. The rumors of war had only intensified when Tsunade put the city on full alert the day before yesterday, and when she marshaled the army, calling up ninja and militia who'd been off active duty for months or years. It was all the warning everyone needed to know that danger and struggle was inevitable. Plus, news that the Raikage couldn't be dissuaded from marching with Orochimaru had disheartened the whole community, for indeed, it was common rumor among the masses that Kumo was allying with the Sound. I'm a damned Junin, said Kakashi as he wandered almost randomly between the buildings in Konoha's western districts, and I still know so little about what's going on. He wandered a bit longer, trying to get a handle on the thoughts swimming through his head. For nearly half an hour he simply walked autonomously, and thought to himself. What am I doing? He blurted, suddenly shaking his head violently. There's work that needs to be done. The copy nin jumped up to the tops of one nearby house and scanned the city, or as much of it as he could see, then took off running back towards the Hokage's offices. 600 strong ninja left in my charge. Likely I'll have a handful of Junin and special Junin, with the rest made up of Chunin and a surplus of Genin. Kakashi began running over possible defensive strategies in his mind as he neared the offices. Protecting the village citizens will be the top priority, so if we come under attack everyone will need to know to get to the catacombs beneath the city. That way the rest of us will have to worry about hitting innocents less often. Damn, there's going to be so much to do. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.